Okay guys, here we are. We're by the Maserati Spyder. What we're going to do, we're going to split the ball joints. We're going to put some new boots on it. As you can see right here, the boots completely wore off. It's not only here, but underneath it as well. Let me see if I can get a good look at that side. Right here. You can see it's all nasty. And basically, so the over and under ball joints that you would normally recognize in the front, it's actually back to front ball joints, back on the front, back on the top, and in the front you'll see that it runs that way. So what we need to do is, the first thing maybe that I need to show you is, we need to discuss. You have to remove your tie rod end. So you're gonna have to remove the tie rod end and the bar, as you noted. Let me see. So right here, as you can see, I've already got this one out. I had an aftermarket set, and here's the other side here. And basically, you're going to have to take this off. If not, it's not going to move far enough out this way. You're going to need to move it when you split the ball joints. You're going to put a jack also under this part here. You're going to see that I'll do that in a minute. Now, in order to remove the tie rod end, do yourself a favor. Don't just do it as if you're trying to remove the tie rod end itself. You want the stud that runs all the way into the ball joint, you want to take that whole thing out. And when you do, it will look like this. So, and what I've done is, I put the nut back on it. Well, what I've done, you're going to see that I have, these are M12 1.25 fine threads that you're going to need. You're going to need to run 2 of these back to back, because you're going to need to run the top one, or the front one, as a jam nut, and the back one you're going to actually put the wrench on to turn it out. And by jamming 2 nuts together, what it does is it's going to put all of the you're basically going to just back out the stud from the ball joint, and you're going to need to do that both ways. You don't want to breach the ball joint. You don't want to smack the ball joint until you already have this out. If you do, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult. By it being in the hub steel, it's going to hold it, so you really won't have to use the wrench. I have a crescent wrench on it now, just in case. I don't think it's going to be much of a problem. I have a crescent wrench. I think it's 30 millimeter is the size that you'll need in front to hold the ball joint part steady. If it starts breaking loose on you, just put a I think it's 30 millimeter. Might be one size lower. Either way. So instead of trying to get underneath the car and show you how I remove this stud, so the step would be for the bottom, remove the tie rod. That's the first thing you're going to want to do. You're going to remove the tie rod by jamming 2 nuts together on this one, on the lower stud, just like I did up here. So you're going to put 2 of these nuts. Don't use the lock nut that's on it. You're going to need to probably get 2 M12 1.25 millimeter fine thread nuts to do this. If you try doing this, on the bottom it'll work. You can turn them around. You could take the one off the top, take the nut off the top of this one and put it on this one and jam them 2 together. But when you get up here, you're not going to have enough thread or bolt length, stud length, to be able to do that. So that I had to do it. This is what I did up top to loosen it up. Okay, so let's do this. Let's take this stud out. I've already got the stud on the bottom. Again, I removed the tie rod end. That's already off. Now, I had an aftermarket kit, so it's actually pretty easy, because, okay, so what you're going to do is, now maybe if you don't want to take the car back in to get an alignment again, you need to measure from where this jam nut threads into the control arm here. I don't know if you can see it. Here, you're going to measure here to the center of this, hole where the bolt comes out. And this was 9 7/8 inches. Well, this is actually from the other side, but the one that's on it now that I took out. So this side was 9 7/8 inches right to the middle. And what I'll do is, when I put the tie rod back on, it'll be easier to line it up where it needs to go at, because I know the exact length it should be from the control arm. Let me take this off. I want to try to keep this video short. Hopefully I can jump back into this. I got a snowstorm coming tomorrow, so I want to finish this. Okay, so again, so you jam these up. We're trying to take this stud out. So what we're going to do is, after these are jammed together, you're going to see that the stud is just threading right out of the ball joint. And the reason why you're going to want to do this is you're not going to be able to split those ball joints on this car with these studs threaded through it. Ball joint tool, whatever you know it by. I'm going to smack this, and then I'm going to loosen this one up. I've already got the stud out of the bottom and ready to go. I'm going to also loosen that one up. I'm going to also separate that ball joint. I've already got the stud out of that one, so. Okay, so you can see that this is pretty much out. So what I'm going to do is just thread this back in just a little bit. And then whatever you do, okay, so I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can get one of these pry bars. You can see it right here. You see how it's separated in front of it? So this one is pretty much already broke. Well, whatever you do, don't smack the end of these threads without a flush or a semi-flush nut on it, or you're going to damage the thread and you're going to have a bad day. Okay, so now that we've got this split, let's see. Let's finish doing this. Let's just take this stud all the way out. Yeah. Okay, that should be split now. Okay, what I'm going to do is, let's put a jack underneath this. Let's see. And I don't know if I need to tell you this. Most of you guys will figure it out, but yeah, I'm just putting a jack right here underneath. I'm not putting it on top of the ball joint. I'm putting it on the lower hub in a secure area. My car's been sitting all winter, so if you're wondering about those rusty rotors, they're rusty because I haven't driven it. Okay, so let's see, let's do this. Okay, so you can see that we've got it busted here, or not busted, excuse me, that might not be a good term to use. We've got the ball joint broke. So really, what we're going to do is, I'm pretty sure that's all the way loose, but let me just check it. Yeah, it is. Okay, so this one, and now we're going to go underneath. Again, we already got the stud. As you can see, the stud is out. I'm just leaving it there. There's no sense in, because when we get done cleaning all of this up, we're just going to thread it back together. Thread it back into it. Let me think. Okay, so let me just go underneath this as well. See if we can get to this bottom one here. Let's move the jack. Okay, what I noticed in this one here, doesn't have enough room to get the the ball joint stud in, or the ball joint separator in. So what I'm going to do is, again, like I told you, I'm not going to hit. I'll make sure that I don't hit the end of this. I'll put a nut on the end of it, and then I'll smack that, because it obviously didn't separate just enough for me just yet. Okay. Now that it has opened up a little bit, let me see. Come on, girl. Okay, as you can see, it's we got it off there. And again, look at all of this nasty. These things are just nasty. I'm really glad that I got the doggone. I'm glad I got them when I did. Okay, let's take this out. Rearrange the jack so we can jack this up, take the pressure off of it. That way we can do what we need to do. Let's see if we can just go ahead and finish this off and break them both up. That one. That one's good. Let's see, right? Okay, let's see. Okay. Now, I don't think the bottom one is all the way out, because if it was, it would already be able to move this straight. So we need to go in here. We need to make sure that this is busted all the way out for the bottom one. There we go. You see how it let loose? Now this should move freely. Let's move this out the way. Get started on this. All right. Let's take some of the pressure off of it. So, all right. Come on, girl. It'll be difficult. All right. Okay, so the top one is out. The bottom one is out too, just as loose. You can see now. So, you can see I can move it around. Move this completely down out of the way, and the jack should be supporting. Well, jack was supporting. Now the jack is supporting hub and the hub assembly. Should be able to move these up and down. And as a matter of fact, if you want to make sure you pull these lines up, not because I don't think there's enough length there, you know, you might as well avoid messing something up if you don't have to. Anyway, so those bolts are broke, and this is what we're working with. As you can see too, these are actually really good shape. Okay, let me take that back. You can see that the ball joint itself, there's no play in it. It's just, man, it's just terrible. They don't have anything that, it doesn't have anything around it. And let me see. Let me get this. Let me show you what was on it. Not on this one specifically, but what used to be on it and what we're going to put on it. So these are the OEM ones right here. They're like a hard plastic. They like, you got to push hard and it doesn't have any give. That was what was on it. Opposed to these, this is what we're going to have on it now. Well, these rotted off of them. These just gave up the ghost and decided they're not going to be on it no more, which is why they're all bare like this. And this is what we're going to put on it. These are the aftermarket or the custom made ones that we're going to put on it. So anyway, let's do this. So the next step is I'm going to clean all of this out. You want to clean all of this nasty grease. And you'll see, you see these little pieces of the old dust cover. I'm really hoping this video isn't all that long. Well, so I guess Google Glass, it works in sub-freezing temperatures. I guess that's a mark for them. A couple cameras I had that really don't work well here. Matter of fact, my camera doesn't take photos. The flash won't work with it when it's this cold out. Okay, I can see that there's a piece of, push this up, there's a piece stuck of the old dust cover. So just get you a screwdriver and see it, and pry all this out all the way around it because you're going to need it. Matter of fact, I'm going to fill it on the back side still there too. So to make sure that it's all, there we go, all out. Now I'm going to use kind of a harsh chemical to clean these out. And the reason why I'm going to do it is because I want these completely clean before I start packing these in with synthetic grease. And there's some more. Hold on a sec. I think really the hard part, we've got the hard part done as far as, you know, what you need to do. Maybe I can also tell you what I'm going to use. I'm going to use, so after these are thoroughly cleaned out, I'm going to use a paint stirrer to pack these all back up again before I put more in the dust cover, before I put the dust cover on. And maybe what I can do is I'll just stop it after that because I don't know, it's going to take longer than it's going to take more time for you guys to watch this. And I mean, most of you guys are probably going to already know what you're doing. So let's just do this. Be careful with this stuff. I want these as clean as possible, and I don't want it to. I want to clean most of the joint out. I'm trying not to spray it directly into it, but I want all of this stuff off. All of this junk, this old garbage, all this old dirt. I got my trash bag already ready to put all of this this hazardous waste in so that we can dispose of that properly as well. Okay, so there's this. This is done. This is a carbon choke cleaner is basically what this is that I'm using. It's going to evaporate quick, and it won't leave a residue or anything, and also leave all of my parts the way that I want it. Okay, so this is that. So let's do that. Paint stick, and I'm using well, I would show you that I was using synthetic grease. It's Mobile 1, but I already cut the thing in half because I already used half of it. But so what I'm going to do is paint stick, synthetic grease, and grab a bunch of it just like this. I'm going to twist this down, and I'm going to start packing it into it. See, and it's going to mess going on here with all of this grease. This is actually lovely. Car loves you for it. Whoever buys the car off you are going to love you for it. You're going to love you for it. It'll be one happy love thing. All right, so just leave it all packed on top of it, just like that. You see it? It's going to squeeze out a little bit, but it's going to be all right. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to pack a little bit around the side too. It's going to squeeze all out anyway. So, but I just want to pack this dust cover full of it. Like this. Oh yeah. Then we're going to fit this right over this. Watch this. Push it in, push it on. Oh yeah. There's the top. And there's the bottom. Just like that. It's like a brand new joint. Let's see. Okay, so now we've got all of this done. Once the joint is on it, once the gator or the dust cover is on it, just gonna wipe around it, clean it up. Try to get it all cleaned up. Once you get pretty much of it all set, I don't know if I said it. I'm using Mobil 1 synthetic grease. Here in the U.S. it's about, I think it's about $20 a tube or something. I can't remember. Maybe 25. Either way, you can get it at your local auto parts store. I wanted synthetic grease. Okay, so it's not perfect, but it's okay because I don't want to go on what y'all guys watch me. Okay, so now, after I get these seated on there, you see it seats all the way around. You're going to see these grooves here, and there's a groove here. I'm going to take this, I'm using copper tie wire. It's a little bit, I think it's more pliable this way. I was going to use stainless steel, but I don't know that it's going to work with me as much as I'd want to. So I use copper. It's real good for this application, I think, because it's not going to rust or anything like that. So twist it a little bit, a couple times like this. Then I'm going to take these pliers after I get it started, and I'm just going to go ahead and tie it down. You can actually, I believe you can get the copper tie wire. I believe you can get it at like Home Depot or a home renovation hardware store. You should be able to get copper tie wire. They use it, like, for instance, they don't use copper. I believe they use steel or stainless steel. Now, I want to show you something. Now, you see, you have to be careful because you can see that the copper wire isn't. So I've got to loosen this. It didn't seat where it was supposed to. So I'm going to loosen it back up, and I'm going to just make sure that I move it around just like that. Make sure that it's seated. And it looks like to me, nope, it's not seated on the back side. So you want this seated all the way around. And if it's not seated all the way around, you want to make sure that it is seated all the way around on that lip. That lip is specifically designed for the tie wire to set on it and to hold it in place. To be honest with you, I'm not really all that sure that these fit really, really good. I'm pretty sure that even if you missed it, I'm not telling you to do that, that it's not, the ball joint cover is still going to protect it, but do it the right way and make sure. Okay, so I just twist it around in a circle. You see how I run around the ball joint around in a circle, clockwise, counterclockwise. That way I knew that that it was seated all the way around. and into this. Okay, now after this, what you're going to want to do is you're going to make sure, what I'm going to do is make sure that when I cut this, the point goes out so that it's not sitting on. All right, here we go. Good and tight. So that it's not sitting towards the ball joint dust cover. You don't want it punctured. So here we go. Cut it straight. Make sure to not cut an edge into it. Cut it straight. Fold it out that way, and it'll be okay. Just like that. Another piece of tie wire here on the front. Oh. Okay, so I think you pretty much got the idea. I think what I should do is just stop this video, and when I get done with the rear one, so you saw how I cleaned it. You can also, so if you want, after using carb cleaner, you can put a, if you have an air compressor, put a blower on it, and you can blow the ball joint all out too. You can blow all of it out, move it around, blow it out, make sure that it's good. And when I clip this one, I'm actually going to, as you can see, it's really sturdy. It's in there where it needs to be. This has got a bit bigger of a lip for the front, which is nice. And here we go. Clip it here, and I'm going to keep it aimed right out this way, and then it'll push it in, but it'll be pushed against metal, and we don't have to worry about it. So that's it. So what I'm going to do is stop you. I'm going to do the bottom one. I don't think you see it. I don't think you need me to show you all of it. I think one is good enough, and then you can do the bottom one the same way I did this top. And besides, it's very highly unlikely that you're going to be able to see underneath there when I'm doing that one. And what I'll do is, when I come back, I will record how I put all of this back together, and we'll go back from there. Okay, guys, we're back. Well, almost forgot about you. Okay, so what we're going to do is, so these are all done. I don't know if you can see this one down here. Let's put the light on it. Okay, so basically, I just lined this up. As you can see, it's all done. The bottom one is done too, as well as the top. So what you're going to want to do, though, make sure that you get the top in first. And then you can, I've got it set so that the bottom is also just piloted in a hole. But we're going to work on the top. And you're going to grab this. Now, this whole assembly without the tie rod will move out. Like, matter of fact, when a lot of people was having a problem with the tie rods, or I don't know if a lot of people, there was one specific individual. I guess he didn't realize the tie rod pushes it out and in. But once it's removed, you can actually move this out and in, and you can also move it over. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the caliper, pulling it this way. I line the top up like this. You see it? Like this. Push it down. You see how it went into the hole? Just by tapping. Okay, and then after you do that, you can move it around and get it set. Okay, now, see where it's at now? I'll grab a hammer. Just tap it. Tap it like that. Okay, so that one's lined up. Now see this one here? See how it's going this way? I'm going to pull on it this way. Pull it. I'm going to tap with the hammer. See how it's moving in? Now I'm not going to bang these in this way. I'm going to show you another way on how to do it. And this one here needs to be lined up. So, and push it in. You see how I push it in that way to get it to line up? It's not complicated, but you know, it can be if you don't know, if you haven't done it before. So tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it. You see how it's moving in? Now what we need these to do is thread in. So we need to tap, we need to continue to tap this. Just tap it a little bit. Just so that we can work it in. See how it's going in? See? Once it starts, it'll just move really quick. See it? Just like that, right? This one, same thing. All right, so that's done. Just like that. See how it's just lining itself right up as you tap it? Okay, you remember the jam nuts? Now we're going to work these backwards. So now what we're going to do is you want to start it first, and don't use an impact gun to start threading this. Thread it first, easy, to make sure that it's all lined up. Because if not, you're going to have a bad day again. And what we're trying to do is make sure that it's seated. Now you see it's almost all seated. And after it is, we can hopefully again, I want to make sure this is good. Want to make sure this is threaded in right. We don't want this cross-threaded. We don't want this messed up. Once it starts, you see how it's moving all the way in? And I'm using the jam nut on the outside now, or the one in front of the jam nut, to move it all the way in. As you can see, it moved it right in. Because you want this stud all the way into that ball joint. Oh. Okay, once you get that close enough, you're going to put this here, take this off. Like this, watch. Yeah. Okay, now look. I don't think my battery is going dead, so you saw how I did this one? Okay, so that's good enough. You're going to take this off. And put the safety nut back on it with the plastic threading that you had on it. Get a new one, or put thread lock on it. Okay, this one is the same way. Now, if you have a problem cinching this all the way in, which this one really didn't have a problem, cinching all the way in, you do the same thing. Jam it this way, right? And if you can't suck that in, if it doesn't just like pop into place like it is supposed to, do yourself a favor. Battery, figures, battery's dying. Okay, so you're going to do this. You're going to thread this in. Take these off. You already understand the jam nut principle. So you're going to take these off, but what you'll do is put a bunch of these on like this, right? With a washer behind it. Because if you notice, there's no threads on this. So do this, right, and do the same thing, except thread it in and it'll cinch this all together. It'll pull this all to it. Take it all off and do the same thing. Make sure that this torque to the specs is supposed to be, I can't think of anything else. My battery's about to die, figures, on this thing, so I have to, I want to get as much as I can. Anyway, you see how I did this one? You're going to do the same thing. If you need a wrench in between it, it's 30 millimeter. You shouldn't, especially if you're using an impact, it'll be really easy. Sorry guys, I had to rush. I hope I covered everything. Thanks for watching.